Welcome back to At Home with the Dogganses.
Why, hello, friends.
And welcome to the episode where we talk about Muppets Mayhem.
Indeed.
We did one, last time there was a Muppets thing, we did an episode about it with Haunted Mansion, so we figured, why not?
Exactly.
It's also, at this point, been a few weeks since Muppets Mayhem has dropped on Disney+, so we're going to just...
assume everybody has at least catched the first episode, so...
Yes, or we're going to assume you have had a chance to see it by now. If you're trying to avoid spoilers, I don't know how much we'll spoil, but we're not going to be particularly cognizant about that, so...
Yeah.
We're just going to talk about our thoughts about the show in general, and I will say this. I probably would have preferred if the show had been released weekly instead of dropping it all at once.
Yeah.
My theory as to why they dropped it all at once was because they really wanted to get the soundtrack album out.
Fair.
Which is, available on vinyl. We have not picked it up yet, but we probably will.
Eventually, yes.
But since the whole show was about making the album, I understand why they wanted to get it all out there. But we watched all 10 episodes on day one. We paced ourselves over the course of the day, but we ended up watching them all on day one. My overall thoughts were I generally liked it. I liked it a lot. I thought it was one of the better Muppets series in a while, in part because it felt less pressure to be like the Muppet series because it was only focusing on a specific handful of Muppets.
Yeah.
I would honestly love if they did more just compartmentalized Muppet stuff like this. Like, the fact that by and large, most of the performers only had to play one character in each episode really gave them time to, and you really manage their energy so they could focus on the characters they were playing and not be scrambling back and forth between Muppets. When the show was coming out, I was kind of hoping we'd get cameos I was hoping we'd get like one big Muppet cameo per episode. Like in episode 1, Kermit shows up or whatever.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of opportunities for those Muppet cameos. Like when Animal was working as the chef in James Hong's restaurant, that would have been the perfect time to pan over to the Swedish Chef or something.
Or I know that wouldn't happen like this, but Ratatouille could have also shown.
Honestly, yeah, just have it be an Everything Everywhere full-on crossover and have Ratatouille show up. That said, when the final episode happened and the only other pre-established Muppets we get are that one cameo from Statler and Waldorf, I was like, no, it was worth saving any other Muppet. It was worth having no other familiar Muppets until this point so that this cameo could have the most impact.
Absolutely, yeah.
That said, there's lots of Muppet fan service throughout the whole thing. Lots of Muppet homages, references to other Muppet stories. Like right in episode 1, the big musical number is Can You Picture That? And it starts with basically a recreation of the opening shot from the Muppet movie of Dr. Teeth pouring the paint. Like it's basically the same. It's not a shot-for-shot redo of the Can You Picture That scene from the Muppet movie, but the opening shot is the same. Elsewhere, they reference the time we took Manhattan. There's a scene where Animal's giving Nora all these gifts, and one of them is the baseball diamond from The Great Muppet Caper, and also from The Great Muppet Caper, towards the end of the series where the Mayhem's going their separate ways, Zoot's photo gallery is in apparently an LA offshoot of the Mallory Gallery.
Love it. Love it.
There's like an Emmett Otter reference where they mention having a rivalry with a band in River Bottom. And in the background of one of the establishing shots, like each episode opens with the Mayhem driving around, and it's just like establishing shot of them driving past some iconic LA landmark. And like one of the establishing shots is them driving past the Capitol Records building, and at the bottom, just in the background, like mostly covered up by traffic, like I only noticed this on like my second or third watch through, is that there's, construction walls, as there are all over LA.
Of course.
But the construction walls are indicating that coming soon is a Doc Hoppers.
It's a very good.
Now, we could dive into if the NBC Muppet Christmas movie that does It's a Wonderful Life is still canon. If that's still canon, Doc Hopper is only still an ongoing restaurant in the universe where Kermit was never born. So let's not unpack that fully.
No.
Because, in the movie where Kermit did 9/11, he also undid Doc Hopper.
It's never not funny the way that you say it like that. Just every time, like, because you say it with the straightest face too every single time as well. Like,
it's one of the great pieces of Muppet lore. But yeah, lots of Muppet references, and also the thing that blew everybody's mind. Not only are all these other Muppet things canon, but I tweeted about it, but I censored the tweet so as not to spoil anything. But since then, everybody's been talking about it. Fucking Meet the Feebles is canon.
Yeah. I am amazed they kept the Peter Jackson cameo as hidden as they did.
We were like, I think I jumped up to the best of my ability, as I am still only semi-mobile.
Yes.
But I like practically leaped out of my seat when Peter Jackson showed up. It was one of the very few cameos that they hadn't teased beforehand, because like even Morgan Freeman's cameo, which is equally how the fuck did they get you?
Yeah.
Even Morgan Freeman's cameo was like he showed up in one of the teasers. But Peter Jackson's cameo, they did not reveal. I didn't see revealed at all ahead of time. Completely caught me off guard. And then completely overshadowed by the fact that they make Meet the Feebles canon within that cameo.
So fucking wild.
But even beyond that, that was probably the best cameo because, not only was it a surprise, but it was just so jam-packed with jokes. Like, Peter Jackson taking credit for putting the Beatles on the map, and it's all like, I'm sorry, Janice, I don't make films. I make trilogies. So good, so good. I think it's neck and neck, but I think most people have, at least that I've seen, have been saying that the best episode is either the Get Back episode or the drug trip at Joshua Tree episode.
Yeah.
Those seem to be neck and neck for people's favorites.
Especially because you get the introduction of baby animal, which, in the great canon of Baby Yoda and the other baby.
Well, Baby Animal first showed up in the flashback earlier.
Yeah.
But regular animal holding Baby Animal, and then Baby Animal imparting wisdom in what appeared to be Eric Jacobson doing just a variant of his Oscar the Grouch take for Baby Animal's voice.
Love it.
But of course, the desert episode, first off, very, when it starts with him around the campfire, very reminiscent of the I'm going to go back there someday scene from the Muppet movie. But also just, the fact that they do a drug trip episode with expired marshmallows as the catalyst.
It's great.
It does feel like they've sort of nailed the level of edgy jokes that make sense from a Muppet project in this one. Because again, I liked the 2015 series more than a lot of people, but I get why people were uncomfortable with the type of adult humor they were doing.
Yeah.
But, I get why people thought it didn't mesh well. And my take on that series was basically a mockumentary, an office-style mockumentary, workplace mockumentary with Muppets is the best premise for an office place mockumentary, but it's not the best format for a Muppets series. And honestly, with the trailer for this one, I thought this was going to be full mockumentary, but it was really just the Get Back episode. And at the beginning, when Nora's watching the Ryan Seacrest thing about the Mayhem, I was thinking this whole show would be a mockumentary, but it's not. It's just regular narrative.
Yeah, I mean, if it was going to be, I was hoping that human Muppet Tommy Lee would be more of a presence in this thing, but
with his animatronic penis voiced by Jason Mantzoukas.
Yes.
Watching the series again, I will say episode 1 in particular has a few too many digital effects for my taste. I get why these happen, but episode 1, it tapers off as the series goes on, but episode 1 has the most shots that are clearly done in post, like the cliffhanger at the end where they're dangling off the literally dangling off the cliff, or even just the painting the house scene. It's like a lot of CGI bubbles, CGI paint, and I get why these things happen.
And CGI Danny Trejo.
No, Trejo was all real. Trejo continuing his streak of Muppet cameos, but breaking his streak of playing a prisoner in those Muppet cameos. Yeah. He's credited as himself, so he just lives across the street from the shack.
Mm-hmm. Well, didn't he also play himself in the Muppets Downloaded one too? Like,
he played himself in Muppets Most Wanted. But himself as a prisoner.
No, the Muppets Uploaded or Downloaded, the one that was in quarantine. That like wasn't he in
Muppets Now? Yes,
Muppets Now. Yeah.
Yes, he did play himself. That's true. I guess he wasn't a prisoner in that one. He did play himself in Muppets Now because he was in the cooking competition with the Swedish chef. That's right.
God, I really want them to do something like Iron Chef, but like all Muppets.
I honestly think because like looking back at Muppets Now, which I think we talked about when we talked about Muppets Haunted Mansion, we liked, but like nothing really stuck with us from it.
No, but I do like the fact that it was like a weekly format where I kind of wanted this to be weekly.
Yeah, and I honestly think for Muppets Now, any one of the recurring segments from Muppets Now should have been a YouTube series.
Yeah.
Like, because we liked recurring formats, but like no individual episode stood out to us.
Yeah.
But yeah, the point I was getting at was like, Episode 1 of Muppets Mayhem had a little more CGI than I like seeing in a Muppets project. Not because I'm anti-CGI, but just because, like, when I can tell that something looks a different type of fake than the type of fake the Muppets are, it kind of clashes for me.
Yeah.
Ironically, I felt a lot less of that in Muppets Haunted Mansion, even though that was shot against, like, the Mandalorian digital sets and everything.
Yeah, but I feel like there was a better balance on that one than there had been some of the other projects where...
Yeah, probably. It could just be because that one took place in such a whimsical world. The CGI didn't distract me as much.
It was also more dark there.
That's true. That's true. Whereas this is like bright daylight.
Yeah.
But I only really noticed that being an issue in episode 1. In the rest of the series, it's much more of a Muppets thing as I know and love it. Every episode has, at least one song, usually a cover song, because that's what the Mayhem does. Also, somebody pointed this out to me. Or somebody pointed out online, I didn't notice this myself, but when they're going through the stack of the Mayhem's old VHS tapes, most of which are Muppet Show episodes, but one of them is labeled The Muppets at Walt Disney World. Mm-hmm. So that's as close as we're getting right now to that being on Disney+.
Yeah.
It is, presumably it was just the part where they're singing Rock and Roll Around the World.
Yeah.
We don't get a new Elton cameo, but we get footage from his Muppet Show episode. Of him doing Tiny Dancer with the Mayhem.
They're only able to negotiate so much when he did the concert film for...
When he did the farewell concert for Disney+, that Chapek was supposed to introduce, except he got fired minutes before.
Fucking wild, man, yeah.
Part of that contract was, oh, by the way, we're going to reuse this footage of you. And he's like, sure, whatever. Our thoughts are very disorganized on this, because we just generally liked it.
Yeah, it was like the correct kind of chaos for us. So.
Yeah, and like I said, I'd love more compartmentalized Muppets. Like, Muppets Haunted Mansion focused on Gonzo, but it still had all the Muppets in it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I wouldn't mind a story, like a little thing where it's just Gonzo and, I guess it would be Gonzo and Pepe now, and, nobody else really is part of it. I wouldn't mind, like, I guess they tried to do that with Kermit's Swamp Years and nobody liked that, but... But I don't mind, like, little just... Electric Mayhem had never really had the spotlight for a narrative before this.
No.
And as a result, they make up a lot of backstory for them that hasn't really been seen before. Like how
Dr. Teeth got his name.
Yes, how Dr. Teeth is an actual part of a dental legacy, which I loved Dr. Teeth's parents. Like, yes. I watched that thinking I could see Muppet fans not liking this kind of thing, but I fucking loved that. I also really liked, what was her name? Penny, Leslie Kira Rudolph's character, the record executive.
Oh, yeah, Penny Waxman.
Yes, I thought she was a fun character. I've noticed this. I noticed this ever since Muppets Now with Beverly Plume, the turkey hosting the cooking show. I've noticed that they're making a conscious effort to introduce new female Muppets who are actually performed by female Muppeteers.
Yeah.
So they're not just Piggy or Janice. they're trying to make Muppeteering less of a boys' club, even though they're mostly introducing characters who clearly exist in one-off contexts,
Yeah.
who aren't really designed for longevity. Like, I liked Penny Waxman, but I don't really see her joining the regular rotation of Muppets outside the needs of this story.
Yeah.
But you never know. You never know. Something that I did notice this did have in common with the 2015 series is that the Muppeteers are credited in the opening, and the order they're credited in changes every episode.
Yeah.
So no one of them is the standout. It's like, you know, they are a true ensemble, you know, which becomes a plot point when they change the name of the band from Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem to just Electric Mayhem. But yeah, I noticed both this and the 2015 series did that. And they're also the only two Muppet series that I remember to have in the opening, you know, WGA credits based on characters created by Jim Henson. I still think, like, as much as I get why and appreciate why they change the order of the Muppeteers credits every episode, I do feel like at this point Dave Goelz has earned the "and" credit.
Oh, for fully, yeah.
Like, they would give, even before Frank Oz retired from Muppet, like, even when he was just in the regular staff, he still got the "and" credit from time to time just by being
Frank Oz.
Yeah, just by being the second most prominent Muppeteer, the second most famous Muppeteer. I feel like Goelz has earned the "and" credit at this point.
Absolutely, yeah.
There is no "and" credit, there's just the "with" credit for Taj Mowry, which, you know, of course, one of the big things everyone was excited about when they saw the trailer for this is that this finally is the reunion of the Weird Al show episode where Weird Al turns Taj Mowry's foot into like a reptile foot.
Yeah.
Because yes, finally Weird Al is in a Muppet project.
Which I loved how we were kind of like trying to figure out how this happened, and then when we found out that
well, we had I think there were a couple of ways in, because we haven't even mentioned the show is developed by Adam Goldberg of the Goldbergs.
of course, yeah.
But also developed with Bill Beretta, who's, you know, one of the top brass Muppeteers, Muppet creatives at this point.
But also Al's wife, Suzanne, was roommates with the executive producer of the show, too.
Apparently.
Yeah.
So there were a couple of ins to get Al.
Whose son is who this executive producer's son was the Boy Scout on the album cover for Poodle Hat.
Right, yes. Yeah. She was talking about that on Instagram. And also on Instagram, I saw, you know, because Al's cameo is Floyd hallucinating him in the sky in a Mufasa-like manner. He was shot separately from the rest of it. But you know, Matt Vogel finally got to actually meet Al at the premiere and was like so excited on Instagram about it, basically saying, you know, it's like Al is up there with, you know, the Muppets, Monty Python, and Steve Martin as my pillars of comedy. Aww. So I'm happy for Matt that he did actually get to meet Al.
Absolutely, yeah.
And work with him and then meet him in that order. So, like, scattered thoughts about just like the lore they introduce for the Mayhem, which I generally liked all of. Like, I honestly thought the emotional backstories given to the Mayhem were more effective than the way they dragged on the love triangle stuff. You know, as always, the humans are the least interesting part, even though I generally liked the humans in this too. But we'll get to that. But the Muppets lore stuff, they do bring up, like, so apparently Janice has a long lost sister. This is brought up once and never really followed up on.
It's funny that, you know, Taj's second most famous thing is being the younger sibling of probably one of the most famous set of twins out there.
Who were on a sitcom about being long lost sisters who found each other.
Yeah.
But I honestly thought that was going to be called back to when Janice's desert hallucination was seeing a bunch of clones of herself. I thought it was going to be something about her sister, but not really. It's only ever brought up to fuel the sibling conflict with Nora, which, you know, fair. But yeah, Dr. Teeth's backstory we talked about. I liked the notion that Floyd raised Animal. I thought that was really cute.
It's very sweet. Yeah.
I thought that was really sweet. Now, apparently, when he was a baby, when Animal was a baby, when he was a Muppet baby, it's like, up till now, Muppet babies have only existed in, like, what-if alternate universes.
Yeah.
With the exception of, I think, Muppet Family Christmas is the only thing in which, like, they show tapes of the Muppets when they were babies. Like, I think that's the only, up till now, instance where the Muppet babies were supposed to be, like, canonically part of the same world as the existing Muppets.
Yeah.
But, like, in Muppets Take Manhattan, it's like a what-if sequence where Piggy's like, what if we had known each other when we were kids?
Yeah, yeah.
And then, you know, the Muppet Babies shows were spin-offs of that sequence. So this is, like, one of the very few things where a Muppet Baby is canonically the younger version of an existing Muppet.
Yeah. And I think Disney made the joke because of the success of two other, like, baby things in their
because of Baby Yoda and Baby Groot.
Yeah.
They, it's like now Baby Animal.
I really hope that they do make, like, a little shoulder animal that you can walk around the parks in, like the way that they've done with Groot.
I hope so. But here's the thing. It's established that when Animal was a baby, Floyd sang Bridge Over Troubled Water to him.
Yeah.
Now, that song came out in 1970. It's also canon in this show that the Electric Mayhem were the house band on The Muppet Show, which premiered in 1975. So either Animal is like 6 years old at the beginning of The Muppet Show, or Floyd wrote Bridge Over Troubled Water before 1970 and then eventually gave it to Simon and Garfunkel.
I like to believe that is the version that happened.
Here's the thing. I accept either one of these explanations. I accept that the Animal we knew in season 1 of The Muppet Show was just 5 years old.
Both work. I like to think it's actually both, honestly. I like to think that he was on a songwriting session with Simon and Garfunkel the day that Animal was brought to his door, and that is how both ultimately worked out.
Couple thoughts on some of the other cameos. Before we got to Jackson and, like, my mind being blown that Meet the Feebles is canon. Before then, I thought it was edgy enough that we got Cheech and Chong.
Yeah.
Like, having just been left there since the 70s. And, like...
Didn't they do, like, a Dave's Not Here Man?
They did a Dave's Not Here Man reference.
Yeah.
They did a Dave's Not Here Man. They didn't explicitly say they were high, but they made it clear they were high.
Yeah.
Again, just the appropriate level of Muppets edge where it's like, we're not saying any of the words kids shouldn't hear, but adults know exactly what's going on here if they know who these people are. During the montage of, like, them trying different collaborators, we get Dead Mouse, which is funny because, like, there was the whole debacle, like, a decade ago where Dead Mouse tried to trademark his mouse design, but it was ruled to be too close to the Mickey Mouse design to be separately trademarkable. But the way that was reported on was Disney sues Dead Mouse, which is not what happened.
No.
Not what happened at all. But since then, it's been assumed that there's a feud between Dead Mouse and Disney when it's really just, like, Disney never even said stop using that design. It just couldn't be trademarked because it was too close to an existing trademark.
Exactly. This is not that kindergarten in situation, but yeah. I also realized, I think I did not realize that Dead Mouse and Zed were two separate entities.
I'm still not convinced they are, because they both, like, when Dead Mouse takes his helmet off, and then when Zed is there, they both just look like forgettable white guys.
Yeah.
Like, Zed, at first, I thought was the older brother from Malcolm in the Middle. But the main thing is, when they're collaborating with Dead Mouse, they all have Dead Mouse-style helmets. And I don't know if this was deliberate or not, but the Mayhem all have Dead Mouse helmets that reflect their real faces, so they look like back when Disney had those Vinylmation toys where everything was in that sort of Mickey-ish shape and they painted faces on them. They look like the Muppet Vinylmation toys.
Okay.
I also didn't know in the brief cameos of all the leaders of the different musicians' fandoms, we did not know Nicole Byer would be showing up.
No.
As the Beyonce fan. That was fun. Rachel Bloom was in the trailer, and I think I saw Ricky Lindholm post on Instagram that she was going to be there.
Yes.
Again, speaking of people who are in Muppets 2015. And Jack McBrayer.
Okay.
As the Gaga fan. And then when they're doing their concert in Minecraft, which tells me that Fortnite didn't sign off on it, but when they're doing their concert in Minecraft and it's all being put together by Joe Latrulio, and he's calling out all the other fandoms, and we cackled at the Natalie Merchant Marines. That was, like, just so many good music jokes in this show.
Yeah.
Just, like, top-notch joke writing that makes up for any sort of meandering that the human plot does.
Yeah, also, Latrellio looks real good with, like, a full head of gray. Like,
yeah, I hadn't seen him recently. I didn't know if he was fully going gray or if that was just for the character. But if he's doing the full James Gunn, Rob Hubel, like, fuck it, I'm steering into it.
Yeah. Everybody knows that David Byrne got sexier once he went gray, so it's just like they're all kind of falling in that line too.
So in terms of the human plot, so I am fully unfamiliar with Lily Singh, who plays Nora.
I am vaguely aware of her. She's like, I was never a YouTube human the way that other people were, but like...
And my corner of YouTube was a very different corner of YouTube. Same.
My corner of YouTube was mostly just watching old British sitcoms that got placed illegally onto YouTube so that I could learn more about their humor and their ways.
As an anthropological experiment.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm not very familiar with her, but I know that she was one of the first breakouts that was able to successfully transition out of like YouTube into stuff, because I know that she hosted like one of the late night shows or something like that, or the late show.
She hosted something, yeah. I'm, like I said, fully unfamiliar with her. When it was announced that she was part of this, I did see some people be like, oh god, no, not Lily Singh, and I don't know if there are specific reasons to dislike her.
I think it's just like she's just kind of cringe more than it's like anything actually bad. Like, I feel like she probably took part in some early YouTube anti-blackness stuff, which I feel like a lot of the first wave of content creators did.
Yeah. I haven't done the research, so I cannot speak.
Yeah, no, I can't either. But...
I cannot speak to anything about her outside of her role in this show, which I thought she was good in this.
Yeah, solid.
Yeah, I thought she was good. But I do think like the love triangle with her and Taj Mowry and Anders Holm, I thought it kind of meandered.
I love when Anderson came up and I'm like, okay, I know you're on Workaholics, but which white guy are you again?
But I really think it's just that, in my case, speaking for me, I think that when they did emotional beats with the Mayhem, it hit so much more effectively than I expected it to. Mm-hmm. And that's why the emotional beats they hit with the human subplot kind of fell flat for me in comparison.
Yeah.
And again, like, I don't think any of the performers were bad. I don't even think the story was bad. It just was unremarkable. I think if nothing else, when you're doing long-form narrative with the Muppets, it's important to have humans there. If nothing else, then for scale.
Yeah.
Like, to have Muppets next to a human to really ground it, and also to ground it in the real world, but also allow it to go off into deep space. Mm-hmm. But in this case, like, the grounding, like, I wasn't expecting the Mayhem to hold their own as well as they did as a grounding emotional presence.
Yeah, and I think it helps because we don't know that much about the Mayhem. Mm-hmm. Like, we know the Mayhem as what they've been existed to, and like the fact that you can, like, okay, we can play with plot, we can make them whatever image we want to and have it be that successful. I think it really was a big boon to the show.
And since the Muppets multiverse has a flexible continuity anyway, like, if you don't like anything, it'll probably be ignored next time.
Exactly.
But in this particular case, like, I think the emotional beats with the Muppets were stronger than the emotional beats with the humans, which again weren't bad. They were just kind of like standard sitcom love triangle stuff.
Yeah.
And again, I thought all the performers were good. I thought Taj Mowry was a lot of fun as basically the Mayhem's biggest fan.
It's like, it makes me sad that I feel like Taj Mowry, I've always thought was a very talented actor. Mm-hmm. And I wish that he blew up more than he kind of did. I feel like, a lot of people were like, oh, the sisters are overshadowing him, so he's just kind of like, tagging in on the coattails or that. But Smart Kid was like, Smart Guy was really, really cute little show. And like, he's been doing a lot of supporting, but he always like brings it every single time.
Mm-hmm. It's not a hot take to say like, I prefer it when a Muppets thing focuses on the Muppets rather than the humans. Like, It's what people talk about all the time. Like, it's one of the big criticisms people have of a lot of Muppet projects is that they focus too much on the humans.
Yeah.
And in this case, I get the instinct to have the humans be the emotional grounding presence. And again, I liked the human characters. I don't think getting rid of them entirely would have been the option. Mm-hmm. But I feel like by the end of it, I was getting much more weight from the Mayhem story than from Nora's story.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And again, I was surprised at how effective the Mayhem were at carrying an emotional story. I liked that it kind of comes out over the course of the series that Floyd really is the glue for the Mayhem.
Yeah.
Because, like, he got Dr. Teeth into music and he, raised Animal. He's kind of the one keeping them all together. It's great that when Dr. Teeth meets Floyd, he's working at Jerry's music shop, which is probably both a reference to Jerry Nelson and Jerry Jewell.
Yeah.
Maybe a little more Nelson because Nelson was the original Floyd, but the grand tradition of Jerrys who are essential to Muppet history.
Yeah. Also, it was just nice to get more Lips, because I always forget Lips exists, and he was such a nice add-on to this entire...
Lips, I thought, was hilarious in this. And yeah, Lips has always not been very well defined, because he came on in the final season of The Muppet Show basically just to give Steve Whitmire a character to have in the Mayhem. And I know Steve had said that he never really figured out what to do with Lips. And it's much like how Richard Hunt was originally Elmo and never figured out what to do with Elmo, and then just threw him at Kevin Clash and said, do something with this.
That's always so wild to me. That is the through line of that buddy. So,
and in this case, now that Whitmire, for the reasons that are, is no longer with the Muppets, now it's Peter Linz doing Lips. And because there was so little grounding for Lips already, he could really find just a funny... It's funny how both this and Guardians 3 coming out around the same time have the plot point of, now that you're officially part of the family, you understand what the unintelligible one is saying. Yeah, Lips was a lot of fun. And of course, again, Dave Goelz still bringing it as Zoot. Zoot, who's always been the most spaced out of the Mayhem. So he is more of like a catalyst to the other members' emotional journeys. But, they do like the post-credits. They do the post-credits couch gag at the end of each episode where he's taking a picture. And after the final episode, he takes the picture and he's like, this one's for Kermit. And I know I'm reading way too fucking much into this.
Yeah.
I know I am overreading this. I know this is not like consciously what the decision was. But the fact that it's Dave Goelz, the fact that it's the only Muppeteer on the show who's been there since the Muppet Show, saying this one's for Kermit, I couldn't not hear it as this one's for Jim. And I don't think that was deliberate, but that's how I read it.
No, of course.
And that was a nice way to end the series. We didn't even talk about in the Desert Drug Trip when Dr. Teeth has that stop motion hallucination.
Oh my god, that was so good.
And I looked it up. Like, it looked very Will Vinton-y, but I looked it up. It was done by Stupid Buddy Studios, who does Robot Chicken.
Yeah.
And part of me wonders if the reason they specifically reached out to the Robot Chicken animators for this is because there was that early Robot Chicken sketch that was the behind the music on the Electric Mayhem. And I wonder if that was their kind of nod of like, we're doing an official Electric Mayhem story, but you were the first to, like, you did it as a parody, but you were the first to kind of give the Mayhem their own story.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I'm wondering if that was a deliberate nod, or if it's just because they're the, preeminent stop motion animators of the time and they just wanted it to be in that style. But
of course, yeah.
Yeah, we talked about how this is developed by, like, this was pitched by Adam Goldberg, and he, wrote it with Bill Beretta, and I think Bill Beretta's writing partner. So, like, he was clearly, like, so many celebrities come in and, or, big name writers have their takes on Muppet projects they wanted to, Jason Segel, like, they all come in and do their Muppet, like, there was one early in Disney Plus. There was one in development with Josh Gad, but it ended up getting scrapped before it went anywhere, which I think was going to be specifically a spin-off of The Muppets Take Manhattan.
Yeah.
Like, it was going to be set in that sort of timeline. But I think it was wise of Adam Goldberg to actually write with people, like with Muppet insiders.
Yeah.
Because, like, I like the Jason Segel movie. I think it's great. But I think it showed a level of, I want to make sure we do this right, to actually be like, I'm not writing this all by myself. I want
Bill here.
Yeah, I want people with Muppet experience to write this. But he also does show off his Muppet fan credentials, because the production vanity card at the end for Adam Goldberg Productions are 2 childhood pictures, one of him with Jim Henson's handprints in I don't know if it's at the real Chinese theater or if it's the Disney World Chinese theater, but probably the Disney World one. And then one of him, I think, with an animal toy. So showing off his fan credentials there.
I will say, if I ever have the opportunity to do something like that for my vanity plate thing, I want to get a picture of my niece on the Jim Henson bench at University of Maryland.
Oh, sure.
Which is, if you have any of y'all in the Maryland area, I highly recommend you go and check out the Henson bench. Even though Jim has frequently said, and I agree, that his time at University of Maryland was probably the worst experience of his whole life. It is kind of a cute little bench with him and Kermit just like vibing out.
It's mostly a good, consistent series, but then some things kind of get dropped. Like, I liked the thing early on where Janice is allergic to bullshit.
Yeah.
I liked that. But then later on, there's like moments where people tell little lies and it doesn't affect Janice in any way. So it's like a plot necessary allergy, which fair, but
fair.
I'm sure we have other thoughts on this series because, again, it's all scattered. Like just so many other great cameos. Like, you know, Ben Schwartz was so much fun.
I loved that so much. And also when Lil Nas X showed up, I was like, God, I really wish they would do like a little like mini clutch of Muppet Show episodes, because Lil Nas X would have been so perfect for the format if he was like around when that
Well, he did the Elmo talk show.
True, but like that really, you know, even more so, like, yeah, this really.
Which, by the way, I did see that the Elmo talk show has apparently moved to the PBS Kids app. So
great. Okay.
Zaslav couldn't keep it dead.
I'm so proud of the BU students that made their their energy known when he was speaking.
Yeah.
Your sister school really, you know, knows how to treat people, so.
Indeed. Also, such good, not that I expect anything less, but such good self-deprecation from Kevin Smith.
Oh my God, yes.
Canonically, Dr. Teeth has seen yoga hosers.
Yeah. I thought that was going to be the one that was going to, like, nuke us that day until Meet the Feebles, like, then just popped up later in that episode. Was like, fudge.
Yoga Hosers, the movie, exists in the Muppets multiverse, but Meet the Feebles actually happened.
Yeah.
Just a lot of good jokes, a lot of like, good joke writing, emotional beats that mostly work. I would like a season 2 of this that's like following the Mayhem on tour, but I would also be okay if this is just a one-off and next year we get a different Muppets one. Like, I can live with this new normal of just a different Muppets one-off every year or two.
Yeah.
Like, they don't all need to tie together, but, you know, next year it could be something with all the Muppets, or it could be something with it could just be like a Beaker and Bunsen series.
Yeah.
Or it could just be like I was going to say Sam the Eagle, but I don't know if in this climate in America, we really want to follow around the uptight conservative one.
Yeah.
But it could just, it could focus on different little corners of Muppetdom, either with cameos or without from the others. And yeah, this was a fun Muppets show. This was a good Electric Mayhem show. Looking forward to whatever comes next, whether it's more of this or just more Muppets in general.
Absolutely.
So, audience, what did you think of Muppets Mayhem? What were your favorite parts? What were your favorite jokes? What were your favorite cameos?
Pitch us your Muppet project. We'd love to hear it.
Yes, if you don't have a chance to pitch it to Disney+, pitch it to us and we'll tell you how much we want to see it. I have a feeling we will want to see whatever you come up with.
Absolutely.
And until next time, this has been At Home with the Dogganses.
Later days, y'all.
Later days.